Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. We're on page 113 in the Maimorim Mukatim of the previous Rebbe. This Maimer is about Chanukah. So today, one day before Yutes Kislev, we're beginning a Maimer about Chanukah. Beis Hamach Dalid. With the help of Hashem, Shabbos Parshas Vayeshev. This was said on Shabbos Parshas Vayeshev. Shabbos Chanukah, or written for that Shabbos to be learned. Shabbos Chanukah, Tov Vav, 1945, probably 45, because Tov Vav is the Hebrew date. My Mevorech, the Gemara says, what bracha do you make for the candles? And the Gemara answers, Mevorech, you make a bracha, the following blessing. Asher kidishanu b'mitzvaysav v'tzivanu, who has commanded us in his mitzvahs, lahadlik der Chanukah, to ignite, to light the candles of Chanukah. The Gemara asks, V'heichin tzivanu, where were we commanded? Where in the Torah do you find a commandment to light Chanukah candles, Boaz? So the answer is, what's the answer? Just as all, just as all decrees and all judge laws, and all enactments, shall devreim of the rabbis, soimchim alav, rely on the negative command, on the commandment that's alav, the negative commandment, quote, the loisosur. Loisosur shalom, Ari, Boaz, and Baruch is the general rabbinic support for listening to the rabbis. In other words, Ari, how do we know that you have to wash Negelwasser? The answer is the rabbis say so. Well, why should I listen to them? They're not God. So the answer is because God himself writes in the Torah, don't go astray from the words of the rabbis. So that verse, Lo Susser, is the support verse for all rabbinic law. That's what he says. For all the decrees and judgments and enactments, shall divreim of the rabbis and rabbinic law, uses the support verse Lo Susser. That's in the negative, right? Lo Seseh, don't do what you're not supposed to. Kach b'mitzvah shechichu, so too in mitzvahs that the rabbis created, that they brought to the attention of the Jewish people. Kagon, for example, Ner Chanukah, the candles of Chanukah. It doesn't say anywhere in the Torah to light candles. The rabbis came up with an idea of lighting candles. It's a chidush, it's a novelty. Smuchim aloyse alav ba'atzmai. If they rely on that negative commandment, lo susur, itself. In other words, Baruch, the lav, lo susur, means don't turn away from what the rabbis tell you. So if the rabbis of the time of the Gemara and all that say light candles, and you don't light candles, you're violating the words of the rabbis, and the words of the rabbis is supported. What? And so big deal. So I'm violating. Well, the big deal is you're breaking a lav, a negative commandment in the Torah. So just like it's a lav not to make fire on Shabbos, it's a lav not to listen to the words of the rabbis. That's what we just learned. Let's continue. Before I continue, is that clear to everyone? Hello, you guys understand? Boaz? Okay. If you don't understand, please ask. This is not a one-man show. We are in a classroom learning together. So please ask if you don't understand. Rabbi Nechemya says, She'ein ba'isei halav el livreyem sheyesh bahen iker min ha'Torah. That the lav of Lo Sasuru only refers to issues that has support in the Torah itself. Reb Nechemya disagrees with Reb Avia. And Reb Nechemya says, I'm sorry, I cannot base the support verse for rabbinic law on this verse unless there is support from the Torah itself somehow. That's why he does not accept that verse, but Reb Nechemia introduces his own another verse to support the idea in following rabbinic law. So the question now is v'tzarach lahavin. This is the previous Rebbe's question. The Haner Chanuka mitzvah say. The idea of lighting the Chanuka menorah is a positive commandment, right? Where is it a positive commandment? Shalom. It's a positive commandment about the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Mishkan. The Eichev Shalom, so how can you say the Hasmach Lezeh who loved the Lo Sasur? That the support is the verse Lo Sasur. Hare mitzvahs say u'mitzvahs Lo say hen Chaluka is be'inyin u'v'sharsha. There's a basic inherent difference in essence between the positive commandments and the negative commandments. So since there's a mitzvah in the Torah to light the menorah, how can you tell me? The Gemara says here, what bracha do you make? And the Gemara says you make Ashek L'Shanim Chanukah, and the support verse is two opinions. Rebbe's question, according to the first, the Rebbe's question is, wait a minute. The mitzvah of lighting the menorah is a mitzvah in the Torah. It says it in the Torah. We don't need Lo Sasur. Lo Sasur is a negative mitzvah. So he says, and inherently, mitzvahs asay or mitzvahs lo sasay are very different. Yira hi shayrish haloi sasay. Or Yira is the source, the root for all negative commandments. Why should you not light a fire on Shabbos? Because you fear God. He tells you not to, and you fear Him. V'ava, what about Ava, love? He shayrish mitzvah saseh. It is the source for mitzvah saseh, for the positive commandments. Put on tefillin. Why? Because I love God. Right? So Ava, love, is the source for mitzvah saseh. We must preface first what was explained earlier in a previous discourse in the year 1945, the Yom V'Layla Or V'Choshech, that the concept of day and night, and darkness and light and darkness, ba'avoda, in serving God, hein bei sugim, it's two categories of, quote, listen to this, Baruch, koived roish. The Gemara says in Brachas, one cannot start the Amida unless they have a heavy head. How heavy is your head, Baruch? Is it a big head? You know what a heavy head means? It means yira, fear. I'm standing before a king. It's awesome. That's what we mean. But that's one category. The other category, Boaz, is tefillah b'simcha. To daven the Amida with simcha. In other words, to begin the Amida, you need to be in a position of awe, fear. Awesome, God is awesome, and I'm standing before Him. He let me into His room. I don't believe this. Once you start davening, you're not supposed to be in a mode of awe. You're supposed to be in a mode of simcha, of joy, happiness. So the Rebbe says, we learned, he says earlier in a discourse, he says, that the concept of night and day and the concept of light and darkness alludes to these two types of activities, i.e., the idea of darkness and the idea of night is the koved rosh, is the heavy head, the awe, the feeling of trepidation, fear. And the idea of day and the idea of light is analogous to the idea of davening with simcha. Let's see now how he continues to develop the idea. Is it clear? Okay. So he says, it says, Hashem made light, for it is good. And God separated between the light and the darkness. Initially, when God created the world, it was all mixed up together. So what did Hashem do? He made Havdalah. Ari, like we make Friday, Matzah Shabbos Havdalah, Hashem made Havdalah. He separated night and day. The moving mizeh, who we understand from this, Shekaidim Havdalah, before Havdalah, like I told you, night and light and darkness, they worked together. They were mixed. They were mixed together. This is the idea of a long day. What does it mean it's a long day? There isn't a division between night and day. It's all one day. They're all both together. And specifically regarding this, he says, and God saw, for light is good. The aspect of goodness is the way it is before Havdalah. Right? Okay? Before the separation. For to understand this, when we talk about God as God transcends the progression of the worlds, the Sham Hu Yoim Aruch, over there, it's one long day. The light and darkness serve together. They're mixed up. In that reality, Baruch, it's very, very special. In other words, when you come from the perspective of Or Ein Sof Shelamayla Mishtal Shalus, Or and Chayshach can coexist, and actually it's the highest experience. And he explains, Hine in his boiler we explained earlier, the Simcha Meridus Hem Or v'Chayshach. Happiness, joy, and frustration. You know what frustration is, right? It happens to you once in a while, doesn't it? Meridus. It's comparable to light and darkness. V'chein ava v'yira, loving God, v'yira, fearing God, v'chesed, and chesed, kindness, gvura, and severity, and gvura. Hey, more of a chayshach, they're comparable to light and darkness. The beseder ishtalshalos and madregas chalukis. Once you talk about the way it's experienced in the progression of the Ein Sof within the worlds, which is called ishtalshalos, over there, the b'shoshu b'simcha ein shayach l'yamidus klal. Over there, you have a division. When you're joyful, when you're in a mode of simcha, you're really in that mode. Frustration, anger, bitterness, upsetness has no place. You're happy. And at the time when you are frustrated, at that time there is no room for simcha, right? There's no room for joy. I'm upset now. I'm frustrated. You're not in a happy mood. So once we talk about Hishtalshelus Baruch, over there, there's a difference between positive and negative, night and day, right and wrong, happiness and frustration. The meridus v'simcha and beis sugi avoda. Frustration, meridus, v'simcha and joy are two categories within serving God. The kovid roish, a heaviness of the head, shekoidem atfila. When are we supposed to have a heavy head? When are we supposed to be involved in that activity? He says, it's before davening. But the avodah, the tefillah atzma, the actual avodah of davening itself, is supposed to be b'simcha. The kovid roish shekoidem atfila harizeh hemshich, next page, 114. The heavy head that we're supposed to have before we daven, he says it is a continuation, it's a hemshich for avodah the kriya shema shel amita. You hear that, Baruch? Boaz? It's a continuation of the night before. A night before you're supposed to make a cheshbon, and it ain't rosy. It ain't rosy. Oh, I had this fight with him, and he said this to me, and I said this. Boy, do we have issues to solve and to resolve at night. So the avodah of Krishma Shel Amita is an avodah of Meridus. Moshe Myers, before you go to sleep, you have to make up with everybody. It's a tough job. You have to look at yourself. What did I do? It's very uncomfortable. It's Meridus. It's not fun. It's not joyful. It's frustration, but holy frustration. And he says, this is the beginning of working with the darkness that precedes the light and revelation. So now we're going to start talking about the first avodah, Shalom and Ari, which is the avodah of Krishma Shel Amita. Let's see what he says. The avodah the Krishma Shel Amita, the avodah of Krishma, harikol Yisrael muchuyovim bo. All Jews are obligated to involve themselves in the service called saying Shema on your bed. What is this avodah? Is it just a lip service, saying a blessing, hamapil, or it's an activity, it's an avodah, it's work? Chasidus Chabad contends and argues that it is a work and a lot of work. And let's see what kind of work it is. The chlolis avodasehi, the overall activity of Krishma Shel Amiti, it is hachesh ben tzedek she'oisa ben nafshay mikol ma she'ova olav. You have to make a righteous, a proper account of everything that has transpired with you throughout the day, b'meshech hayoim, b'chol inyanov, in all of your aspects and matters, b'machshava, in thought, dibur, speech, u'maisa. What did I think about? What did I say? And what did I do? Are you able to do that? I'm not. It's very hard. I can barely remember what I did 5 minutes ago. Remind yourself what you did 8 hours ago? Well, the big things I could remember. But small things, I gotta really scratch my head. That's why it's called an avodah. It's work. It's uncomfortable. No one wants to look themselves in the mirror and say, you're such a da. Right? Uncomfortable. The Rebbe says there are different levels with himahus Mahuse Madregas Bnei Adam, based on the different levels of essential meaning in mankind. Umatzav in Yoneim v'orchos Chayeyim, and their situation and their activity, their daily activity, what they're involved with. The Eina Doime Habalei Seik. You can't compare a business person to someone who sits in Kolel or in Yeshiva. And you can't compare the two to Bali Madregas, to people who are up there in the upper echelon of holiness, involved in the study of Torah and Avodah. It's two separate worlds. Business people, who are very busy, they don't fulfill their obligation by just putting on the tefillin, doing the mitzvahs alone. And they're obligated, according to halacha, to learn one chapter of Torah in the morning, one chapter of Torah in the evening. And this person's activity, what does this person's activity of Krishma Shalamita consist of? It's to meditate on his own service of staying away from evil, bad, and doing good. This is, guys, the Cheshbon HaNefesh Baruch of a Baalei Asik. So, I think all of you are pretty much Baalei Asik, or retired from being Baalei Asik. This is a category that fits everyone here to think about, to make this Cheshbon nightly. Okay? It's not very difficult if you want to do it, and you should do it, and you can do it. You hear me? Don't tell me you can't do it, Ari. You could do it, but you're tired or you're working at 10, 11 o'clock. Well, maybe on your way back from work, you sneak in a thought, what did I do during the day? What did I say during the day? What did I think about during the day? That would be a viable way of engaging in the avoda. We're emphasizing here, Boaz, the word avoda of Kriya Shema Shelamita, right? We're not talking about the reciting of words. We're talking about the avoda, the service. Now he continues.
Rabbi,
yes.
If you make it personal, when you say that you don't just say the word, you also make it personal. You have your own the words that you substitute. Or you're just thinking about your own day while you're saying.
No, it's not a substitute for the words in the Siddur, but you're supposed to be, when you say Rebbeinu Shalom, let's say the first paragraph, Master of Universe, Hareini Meichel, I pardon everyone, right? And all that. You have to stop and ask yourself, who am I pardoning? Why am I pardoning? What did I do today that I'm pardoning? That's all in your thought. Now, if you want to speak out, speak out. If you want to say other words, you're allowed to. You're allowed to. It's no sin. But that's not what we're not. The point is, what issues? In other words, like this. It's a good question, Ari. Very good. I'm glad you asked that question. The issue is, what? Hold on. What is it? What is it that I am asking God to forgive me for? What did I do today? So in your thought, you think, what issues of thought did I goof up with? What issues of speech did I goof up with? And what issues of action? 3 categories. And you think about this as you say the words, before you say the words, while you say the words. In other words, it's like, you just don't say words and just... You say the word. Yes, you can say the words, and thousands of people, millions of people do that. But that's not the avoid of Krishma Shalabita. The avoid of Krishma Shalabita is to make a real cheshbon. And a real cheshbon means thinking. You got to slow down, and you got to think what did I do during the day? And if you see either in thought, speech, or action, areas in which you messed up, you say, I want to do tshuva, and I'm resolving now to don't do it again. And you think about it in a serious way. That's what we're talking about. Let's continue. Now the Rebbe is going to, you think he lets the guy who was in Kolel and in Yeshiva, he lets him free? No. Now he gives him a meditative thought for Krishma. Let's see what he says. Those that sit in Yeshiva in the tents of Torah, especially those people who are in the upper echelons of learning Torah, and they're big time yeshiva guys, and learning and all that. The Rebbe says they need to be particular with themselves, even more so. The higher you are, the greater you fall. By them, even a very refined evil, bad, is considered bad. In other words, by all of us, a little stain, Ari, isn't a big deal. But by someone who is a head honcho, is a big Talmud Chacham, Shalom, a little mistake is a big issue. That's what he says. So he's telling the guys who are learning Torah and all that, you think that making an account of your day is only for the guys who are working and looking at things and seeing things that are not appropriate and saying things and on and on. Well, guess what? For them, they know exactly what the story is. But you guys are like fooling yourselves because you think you're so holy. So let me tell you that a little imperfection for you guys is a greater issue and problem than their issue. That's what he says. And when he thinks about this, it makes him very uncomfortable. Very much so. And it causes him to come to a resolution, haskama, v'hech l'toiv, and a good resolution al ahaba for the future, then his sleep is good sleep. You hear that? You want to have good sleep at night? You make a good cheshbon. A good cheshbon will let you sleep, make you sleep fine and dandy. Why? Ari, why? Because you feel cleansed. I dealt with the issue. Not that I finished dealing with it, but for tonight, I really had the cathartic experience because I allowed myself to get into myself. And I beat myself up. But it was fine. I needed to beat myself up tonight because boy, during the day did I mess up. Yeah, this is no fun. We did this in yeshiva when we were more pure. This is what we did. Okay? How does it sound, Baruch? It sounds like something you want to engage in?
I've heard many times, I've heard a lot of things about preaching around the Mishnah and stuff like that, so give it a try.
Okay, good. Listen, try a little bit at a time, If you see it gets too uncomfortable and too heavy, stop and come back to it. Okay?
Good idea with this, because I just occasionally, is that you can say that the first part of the prayer at any time, you don't have to say it right as you go into sleep, right? You start saying it, an hour before.
Right.
It is, right?
Right, yeah, I want to say, because if when you go to sleep, you're going to go like this, and you're going to fall asleep, no good, right? You can start an hour before, you can even start 3 hours before, okay? At 5:30, it becomes dark now, you can start then, I'm giving you permission, okay? And then eat your supper. I mean, normally it's supposed to be towards the end of the day when you've concluded with everything. But in today's day and age, we're so, in other words, if you're going to do it at 5:30 and at 8:30 you're still going to mess up, you'll have to do it again. but it's all right. It's all right to begin. Let's continue. And he says, but what I like what he says here, you will have automatically a good sleep. Your sleep will be tov. He's like telling you, he's giving us a recipe for having a good night's sleep. When you work out your issues that you struggled with during the day, you're more in peace, and therefore your rest will be better. Now he says, not only won't you be bothered by nonsense and bad-spirited dreams. Okay, guys, there is such a thing where very scary, negative type of things come to your head. This is brought in the Zohar HaKadosh, the Holy Zohar, as well. The Alter Rebbe alludes to it in Tanya. So the previous Rebbe says here that if you make a proper cheshbon of Kishba Shalamita, your sleep will be good, and in addition to the fact that you won't be bothered and scared by bad, evil dreams that come to haunt you. But more so, you merit to some benefit and virtue. Wow! That you merit to words of Torah that enter your memory. Do you hear that? At night. In other words, you learn during the day, we're learning now, in another hour or two, you forget. But when you make a good cheshbon hanefesh at night, one of the side benefits of that is, beside not having bad, scary dreams to haunt you, is that those things that you learned during the day will be more memorable in your brain. That's what it says. You hear that? Boaz. So people want to know how to remember things better. The Rebbe gave us here advice. A few more minutes. Continuing. And after you do this, there comes the activity called B'tikn Chatzois midnight service, that you regret, you're frustrated concerning the destruction of the Holy Temple, the Shechinta Begalusa, because the Shekhinah, the Divine Presence, is in exile. And he feels this great pain in the very depth of his heart, feeling the exile and the captivity of his godly soul is in captivity. And during the service of Chatzos, of midnight prayer, while you're saying the verses of Tehillim, and especially because you're supposed to learn afterwards Torah, after the saying of Tehillim, it lessens some of the pain, and it strengthens his avoda, your service to God. So what we have here now in Chabad, and we don't have this avoda today. The Alter Rebbe, it already in Igeres HaTshuva speaks about this, and the tradition of Chabad is that Krishma Mita is equivalent spiritually to midnight prayer. But there are many Jews that do midnight. Not many, some do Chatzos. So the Rebbe, that's why addresses it. You understand? In other words, the average Lubavitcher is not saying Tikkun Chatzos. But why does he address it? Because there are those that do, so he addresses it. We'll stop here. This will be the next shir. I'll let you know tonight, or hopefully, whether I'll be able to teach tomorrow, because tomorrow I leave back from Moscow to New York, and depending on how long before my flight I have to be in the airport. So it'll be a hit or miss. I'll let you know, okay? But Wednesday we will learn. What?
You're in Moscow right now?
Sure.
Oh. Where are you staying?
I'm staying at a hotel here. I came here for the wedding. You asked me about that, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't know. It was on Thursday or Sunday?
The wedding was Thursday, but I've been going around here, visiting. I prayed in the Baal Shuva Yeshiva last night. I've been doing things here while I'm here.
You're not going to the Kremlin for the Shabbat brothers?
I really wanted to, but I can't stay that long. So yesterday I took film. Someone drove me, and I saw the Kremlin from the outside. Whatever. I just can't do everything. Anyway, see you everyone. So either tomorrow we will learn or not. I'll let you know. Have a good day. It's great to see you guys. Take care.